Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 24. We are on text 19. We have been hearing about the Prachetas, the sons of Prachinabari, the Prajapati, who was the son of Antardhan, so he was the grandson of Maharaj Prithu. Maitreya Vacha,
Maitreya Uvacha,
Prachetasa Pitur Vakyam,
Prachetasa Piturvakyam,
Shira Sadaya Sadava,
Shirasadaya Sadhavaha,
Disham Pratichim Prayayus,
Disham Pratichin Prayu,
Tapasi Adrita Chetasa.
Tapasi Adrita Chetasaha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, because of their pious nature, all the sons of Prachinabari very seriously accepted the words of their father with heart and soul, and with these words on their heads, they went toward the west to execute their father's order. In this verse, sadhava, meaning pious or well-behaved, is very important, especially at the present moment. So Prachinabari had told his sons, the Prachetas, that you go perform austerities before you get married. Before they take up their duties, he wanted them to go to austerities. And so they're following his order. It is derived from the word sadhu. I'm sorry. A perfect sadhu is one who is always engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So who is a sadhu? We may have different ideas of who is a sadhu. So Srila Prabhupada is pointing out a sadhu is a pure devotee of the Lord. He's always engaging in devotional service. Prachinabari's sons are described as sadhava because of their complete obedience to their father. The father, king, and spiritual master are supposed to be representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, they have to be respected as the Supreme Lord. It is the duty of the father, the spiritual master, and the king to regulate their subordinates in such a way that they ultimately become fully unalloyed devotees of the Supreme Lord. That is the duty of the superiors, and it is the duty of the subordinates to order their orders perfectly and in a disciplined way. The word Shirasa on their heads is also significant, for the Prachetas accepted the orders of their father and carried them on their heads, which means they accepted them in complete surrender. So they were obedient sons, and so they followed the order of their saintly father too, that before they join the worldly duties, before they get married, they wanted to do the austerities. Sa samudram upavistrinam.
Sa samudram upavistirnam.
Apashyan sumahatsara.
Apashyan
Mahan mana iva swacham. Prasana salila shayam. While traveling, the Prachetas happened to see a great reservoir of water. Sorry, I think my connection is not good. Are you all able to hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. While traveling, the Prachetas happened to see a great reservoir of water, which seemed almost as big as the ocean. The water of this lake was so calm and quiet that it seemed like the mind of a great soul, and its inhabitants, the aquatics, appeared very peaceful and happy to be under the protection of such a watery reservoir. The word Samudra means near the sea. The reservoir of water was like a bay, for it was not very far from the sea. The word Upa, meaning more or less, is used in many ways, as in the word Upapati, which indicates a husband, more or less. That is to say, a lover who is acting like a husband. Upa also means greater, smaller, or nearer. Considering all these points, the reservoir of water, which was seen by the Prachetas while they were traveling, was actually a large bay or lake. And unlike the sea or ocean, which has turbulent waves, this reservoir was very calm and quiet. So like a very, very big lake of water. So indeed, the water was so clear that it seemed like the mind of some great soul. There may be many great souls, jnanis, yogis, and bhaktas, or pure devotees are also called great souls, but they are very rarely found. One can find many great souls amongst yogis and jnanis, but a truly great soul, a pure devotee of the Lord, who is fully surrendered to the Lord, is very rarely found. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Bhagavad Gita 7.19, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapatyati. Vasudeva Sarvat Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. One who surrenders to Krishna, such a soul is very, very rare. And he calls him a great soul, Mahatma. A devotee's mind is always calm, quiet, and desireless. Why? Because he is always Anyabhilashita Shunyam. What is Anyabhilashita Shunyam? Having no desire other than to serve Krishna as his personal servant, friend, father, mother, or conjugal love. So this is the pure devotee. Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttamam. That one has no desires, no material desire, no desire for liberation, nor any desire for mystic perfection. Now we may say, oh, but I'm full of material desires, or I desire material mystic perfection, or I desire liberation. What shall I do? Bhagavatam says, never mind. Whatever is our position, akama sarva kama va, moksha kama udaradi, tivrena bhakti yogena. That we may be full of material desires, we may have no material desire, or we may desire liberation. Just worship Krishna, because he will not only fulfill our desires, but he will also give us perfection. So due to his association with Krishna, a devotee is always very calm and cool. It is also significant that within that reservoir, all the aquatics were also very calm and quiet, because the disciples of a devotee have taken shelter of a great soul. They become very calm and quiet and are not agitated by the waves of the material world, because a pure devotee is on the liberated platform. He's completely understood, I'm not the body, I'm part and parcel of Krishna. The modes of nature don't act on him. So he is Brahmabhuta. And of course, he himself has taken shelter of a pure devotee. This material world is often described as an ocean of nations. In such an ocean, everything is agitated. The mind of a great devotee is also like an ocean or a very large lake, but there is no agitation. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.41, Vyavayasayatmika buddhir ekeha kuru nandana. Those who are fixed in the service of the Lord are not agitated by anything. So Srila Prabhupada said that when he heard the purport to this verse, Bhagavad Gita 2.41, the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that gave him the determination to carry out the order of his spiritual master to spread the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in the English language. It is also stated in Bhagavad Gita 6.22, Yasmin sthito na dukkhena guruna api vichalayate. Even if he suffers some reversals in life, a devotee is never agitated. Therefore, whoever takes shelter of a great soul or a great devotee becomes pacified. In the Caitaniya Caritamita Madhya 19.149, it is stated, Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ateva Shanta. A devotee of Lord Krishna is always peaceful because he has no desire, whereas the yogis, karmis, and jnanis have so many desires to fulfill. One may argue that the devotees have desires, for they wish to go back home, back to Godhead. But such a desire does not agitate the mind. Although he wishes to go back to Godhead, a devotee is satisfied in any condition of life. Consequently, the word Mahanmana is used in this verse to indicate that the reservoir of water was as calm and quiet as the mind of a great devotee. So the pure devotee, because he is on the liberated platform, he is above the modes of nature, he is situated on the platform of the soul, so his mind does not get agitated with this material world. So this was the situation of the lake with the Prachetas. Nila Raktot Palamboja.
Nila Rakto Palam Poja
Kalaren Tivarakaram.
Kalarindivvarakaram
Hamsa Sarasa Chakravam.
Hamsa Sarasa Chakrava
Karandava Nikochitam.
Nikunchitam.
In that great lake, there were different types of lotus flowers. Some of them were bluish, and some of them were red. Some of them grew at night, some in the day, and some, like the Indivara lotus flower, in the evening. Combined together, the lotus flowers filled the lake so that the lake appeared to be a great mine of such flowers. Consequently, on the shores there were swans and cranes, chakravakas, karandavas, and other beautiful water birds standing about. It sounds very beautiful. The lake is clear, the aquatics are peaceful, there's so many lotuses of different colors, and so many beautiful birds are there. The word akaram, mine, is significant in this verse, for the reservoir of water appeared like a mine from which different types of lotus flowers were produced. Oh, so that's a nice comparison which is given. Like we have mines giving us, rubies and emeralds, like the gemstones of different colors. So here the lake is producing the lotus flowers of different colors. So it's compared to the mine. Some of the lotus flowers grew during the day, some at night, and some in the evening. And accordingly, they had different names and different colors. All these flowers were present on that lake. And because the lake was so calm and quiet and filled with lotus flowers, superior birds like swans, chakravakas, and karandavas stood on the shores and vibrated their different songs, making the entire scene attractive and beautiful. So it's very, very different from the scene we see nowadays, but we are speaking of another age, as there are different types of human beings according to the association of the three qualities of material nature. There are similarly different types of birds, beasts, etc. Everything is divided according to the three qualities of material nature. So just as we are controlled by the three modes of nature, so there are different types of birds also that are in different modes of nature, different types of animals that are in goodness, passion, or ignorance. Birds like swans and cranes, who enjoy clear waters and lotus flowers, are different from crows, who enjoy filthy places. Similarly, there are persons who are controlled by the modes of ignorance and passion, and those who are controlled by the mode of goodness. The creation is so varied that there are always varieties found in every society. Thus, on the bank of this lake, all the superior birds live to enjoy that atmosphere created by that great reservoir filled with lotus flowers. So, goodness, passion, and ignorance, they're really controlling us. This is how material nature controls us. Everything we see is in this three different modes of nature. Did anyone want to comment or question till what we have read till now? Wanted to add anything?
All good.
Oh, so we continue. Mata Brahmara Sausvarya
Mata Brahmara Sausvarya
Rishta Roma Latang Gripam
Rishtaroma Latangripam
Padma Kosha Rajotikshu
Padmakosha Rajo Dikshu
Ikshipat Pavanot Savam.
Vikshipat Pavanotsavam.
There were various trees and creepers on all sides of the lake, and there were mad bumblebees humming all about them. The trees appeared to be very jolly due to the sweet humming of the bumblebees, and the saffron, which was contained in the lotus flowers, was being thrown into the air. These all created such an atmosphere that it appeared as though a festival were taking place there. Trees and creepers are also different types of living beings. When bumblebees come upon trees and creepers to collect honey, certainly such plants become very happy. On such an occasion, the wind also takes advantage of the situation by throwing pollen or saffron contained in the lotus flowers. All this combines with the sweet vibration created by the swans and the calm of the water. The Prachetas considered such a place to be like a continuous festival. From this description, it appears that the Prachetas reached Shiva Lok, which is supposed to be situated near the Himalaya mountains. So they are in Shiva Lok, the Prachetas, in the Himalayas. Sounds very, very beautiful. Sounds amazing. Tatra Gandharvam Akarnya.
Tatra Gandharvam Akarnya
Divya Marga Manoharam.
Divyamarga Manoharam
Vishishmuraj Putraste.
Vishishnu Rajaputraste
Mridanga Panavadiyanu.
Mridanga Panavadi Anu.
The sons of the king became very much amazed when they heard vibrations from various drums and kettle drums, along with other orderly musical sounds pleasing to the ear. In addition to the various flowers and living entities about the lake, there were also many musical vibrations. The void of the impersonalist, which has no variegatedness, is not at all pleasing compared with such a scene. Actually, one has to attain the perfection of Sachidananda, eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Because the impersonalists deny these varieties of creation, they cannot actually enjoy transcendental bliss. The place where the Prachetas arrived was the abode of Lord Shiva. Impersonalists are generally worshippers of Lord Shiva, but Lord Shiva is never without variety in his abode. Thus, wherever one goes, whether to the planet of Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, or Lord Brahma, there is variety to be enjoyed by persons full in knowledge and bliss. So Prabhupada is pointing out it's not that in the higher planets or in the spiritual sky there is nothing to do or it's boring. No, there is a lot of enjoyment there. It's complete, full of enjoyment, full of bliss. So in fact, there is transcendental. Here, Prabhupada is pointing the word transcendental bliss. There is so much variety. Tarhi eva sarasastasman
Tarhi eva sarasastasman
nishkramantam sahanugam
nishkramantam sahanugam
upagiyamanam amara
upagiyamanam amara
pravaram vibudhanuge
pravaram vibhutanugye
tapta hemanikayabham
tapta hema nikayabham
shitikantham trilochanam
shiti kantham trilochanam
prasada sumukham vikshya
prasada samukham viksha
pranemurjata kautukam.
pranemurjata kautukaha.
The Prachetas were fortunate to see Lord Shiva, the chief of the demigods, emerging from the water with his associates. His bodily luster was just like molten gold. His throat was bluish, and he had 3 eyes, which looked very mercifully upon his devotees. He was accompanied by many musicians who were glorifying him. As soon as the Prachetas saw Lord Shiva, they immediately offered their obeisances in great amazement and fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord. The word Vibudhanuge indicates that Lord Shiva is always accompanied by the denizens of the higher planets known as Gandharvas and Kinnaras. They're very expert in musical science, and Lord Shiva is worshipped by them constantly. In pictures, Lord Shiva is generally painted white, but here we find that the color of his skin is not exactly white, but like molten gold or a glowing yellowish color. Because Lord Shiva is always very merciful, his name is Ashutosh. Amongst all the demigods, Lord Shiva can be pacified even by the lowest class of men, who need only offer him obeisances and leaves of a bale tree. Thus, his name is Ashutosh, which means that he's pleased very quickly. So here is usually is Lord Shiva alone, or he's accompanied by others?
Is accompanied by the
By who?
denizens, by the Gandharvas, Kinnaras, the
Yeah,
high planets.
yeah, the
One
Gandharvas and Kinnaras.
question. So the
Yeah,
Prachitas were worshipping Lord Shiva, is it? That's why he
not yet.
appeared. So
They
then
not yet.
how?
They've just gone there.
Oh, and then
They've
they
gone
saw.
there to perform austerities. Yeah, and now they're seeing Lord Shiva come out of the water.
Okay.
So not yet. They just got the order from their father, go perform austerities. So now they've come to this place, like the Himalayas, to perform the austerities. And by good fortune, they're seeing Lord Shiva.
Okay. Mm.
So why is Lord Shiva called Ashutosh?
Because he gives I mean whatever you want, like easily he gives
Yeah,
the
very
yeah
easily to fulfill our
fulfill
material desires.
desires. Yeah.
Yeah. And as Krishna is worshipped by Tulsi leaves, what leaves is Lord Shiva worshipped by?
Bale
Bale, yeah,
leaves.
bale
Yeah.
leaves, yeah. Okay. So generally, those who are very fond of material prosperity approach Lord Shiva for such benediction. The Lord, being very merciful, quickly awards all the blessings the devotee asks of him. The demons take advantage of this leniency and sometimes take benedictions from Lord Shiva, which can be very dangerous to others. For instance, Rakasur took a benediction from Lord Shiva, by which he could kill everyone he touched on the head. Although Lord Shiva sometimes very liberally gives such benedictions to his devotees, the difficulty is that the demons, being very cunning, sometimes want to experiment improperly with such benedictions. For instance, after receiving his benediction, Vrikasur tried to touch the head of Lord Shiva. Devotees of Lord Vishnu, however, have no desire for such benedictions, and Lord Vishnu does not give his devotees benedictions, which would cause disturbance to the whole world. So Vrikasur, just imagine, Lord Shiva is giving him the benediction that, yeah, you touch anyone and that person is going to die. And he wanted to kill Lord Shiva himself, the one who's given him the benediction. Like Lord Shiva is so kind, but sometimes his devotees just go too far. But Prabhupada is pointing out that the devotees of Lord Vishnu don't have such desire, and Lord Vishnu will not fulfill such a desire, which would create a disturbance in the world. Lord Vishnu, he has to make sure everyone is maintained properly. Satan prapanarti haro.
Satan prapannati haro.
Bhagavan dharma vatsalam.
Bhagavan dharma vatsalaha.
Dharma gyan shila sampannan.
Dharma jnanshila sampannan.
Prita pritan uvachaha.
Prita pritan uvachaha.
Lord Shiva became very pleased with the Prachitas, because generally Lord Shiva is the protector of pious persons and persons of gentle behavior. Being very much pleased with the princess, he began to speak as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu or Krishna, is known as Bhaktavatsal, and herein we find Lord Shiva described as Dharmavatsal. Of course, the word Dharmavatsal refers to a person who lives according to religious principles. That is understood. Nonetheless, these two words have additional significance. Sometimes Lord Shiva has to deal with persons who are in the mode of passion and ignorance. Such persons are not always very much religious and pious in their activities. But since they worship Lord Shiva for some material profit, they sometimes obey the religious principles. As soon as Lord Shiva sees that his devotees are following religious principles, he blesses them. The Pachitas, sons of Prachina Barhi, were naturally very pious and gentle, and consequently Lord Shiva was immediately pleased with them. Lord Shiva could understand that the princes were sons of Vaishnavas, and as such Lord Shiva offered prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead as follows. So they attracted the mercy of Lord Shiva but because they are devotees. So they are attracting the mercy of Lord Shiva. Shri Rudra Uvacha.
Shri Rudra Uvacha.
Yuyam Vedi Shadaputra.
Yuyam Vedi Shadaputra.
Viditam Vash Chikirshitam.
Viditam Vash Chikirshitam.
Anugrahaya Bhadram Va.
Anugrahaya Bhadram Va.
Evam me darshanam kritam.
Evam me darshanam kritam.
Lord Shiva said, you are all the sons of King Prachinabari, and I wish all good fortune to you. I also know what you are going to do, and therefore I am visible to you just to show my mercy upon you. By these words, Lord Shiva indicates that what the princes were going to do was known to him. It is a fact that they were going to worship Lord Vishnu by severe austerities and penances. So we can see they were the sons of the emperor, King Prachinabari, who was the emperor of the world. The entire earth he was ruling, and these are his sons. So they have so much power, so much wealth, so much opulence. And before they take up their duties as kings or as rulers, they have come to perform the austerities. Knowing this fact, Lord Shiva immediately became very pleased, as apparent by the next verse. This indicates that a person who is not yet a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but who desires to serve the Supreme Lord, receives the benedictions of the demigods, headed by the chief demigod, Lord Shiva. Thus, a devotee of the Lord does not need to try to please the demigods separately. Simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord, a devotee can please all of them. So because the demigods are also parts and parcels of Krishna, so they are happy when one wants to serve the Lord. They are happy. So they assist. They assist the devotee in his service. They offer him all benedictions, as Lord Shiva is giving all his benedictions to the Prachetas. He's happy that they want to approach Lord Vishnu. He's not saying, no, why are you going to pray to Lord Vishnu? You pray to me. He's not saying that. Because he himself loves Krishna. Lord Shiva is a pure devotee, so he's happy that others wants to glorify the Lord. So therefore, they automatically everything that he needs. The demigods are servants of the Lord, and they're always prepared to help a devotee in all circumstances. So the demigods, of course, they are great personalities. They're great administrators of, they have great important positions in the management of this universe, but they all understand they are servants of Krishna. They're very opulent, they're very powerful, but they all understand that they are servants of Lord Krishna. Therefore, Srila Bilvamangal Thakur said that if one has unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Lord, the goddess of liberation is ready to serve him, to say nothing of the gods of material opulences. Bilvamangal Thakur, a very great devotee of the Lord, he has said this. For a pure devotee is already liberated, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. Pure devotional service begins from the platform of liberation. So, and then, of course, one is already liberated, so he's on the platform of the soul. So he's so opulent, because the soul is so opulent, part and parcel of Krishna. Indeed, all the demigods are simply waiting for an opportunity to serve the devotee. Thus, there is no need for a devotee of Krishna to endeavor for material opulence or liberation. By being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he receives all the benefits of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So it's like one-stop shop. We like to have one-stop shop. One place where we can get all our needs fulfilled. So as Bhagavatam says, whatever is our desire, just worship Krishna. And we get the perfection.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So,
Yes,
Shilpa, when we were reading now about Lord Shiva, getting pleased so easily and giving benedictions. And then we are reading about Lord Krishna. He doesn't really give this material benediction because it causes so much of disturbance, right? So much pride, and everything comes along with that. And then when we are reading these two things, they come with different path, and I was like, oh my God, that's so different. I mean, Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva have different paths, but here Lord Shiva just clarified. I mean, because ultimately, after giving the benedictions, if we are going to be the devotees of Lord Krishna, and we are going towards that, it is why he's giving the benedictions.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear properly. If that by getting the benedictions, if we are not going to, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the word.
So I was like, when we were reading about Lord Shiva initially, it was like he's giving the benedictions to us very easily. He's getting pleased, and by our
Well, my internet is not very good, Deepika, so I'm not able to hear you, but I'll just repeat what I understood. I hope you are able to hear me. I'm not sure if you are.